The Defense Production Act of 1950 is a United States federal law enacted on September 8, 1950 in response to the start of the Korean War. It was part of a broad civil defense and war mobilization effort in the context of the Cold War. Its implementing regulations, the Defense Priorities and Allocation System, are located at 15 CFR Sections 700 to 700.93. Since 1950, the Act has been reauthorized over 50 times. It has been periodically amended and remains in force. The Act contains three major sections. The first authorizes the President to require businesses to accept and prioritize contracts for materials deemed necessary for national defense, regardless of a loss incurred on business. The law also allows the President to designate materials to be prohibited from hoarding or price gouging. The law does not state what would occur if a business refuses or is unable to complete a request on time. However, any person who performs any act prohibited or willfully fails to perform any act required by the Defense Production Act may be charged with a felony that results in a fine up to $10,000 or imprisonment for up to 1 year or both. The second section authorizes the President to establish mechanisms to allocate materials, services and facilities to promote national defense. The third section authorizes the President to control the civilian economy so that scarce and critical materials necessary to the national defense effort are available for defense needs. The Act also authorizes the President to requisition property, force industry to expand production and the supply of basic resources, settle labor disputes, control consumer and real estate credit, establish contractual priorities, and allocate raw materials towards national defense. The President's designation of products under the jurisdiction of the DPA as the authority of the Act most often used by the Department of Defense since the 1970s. Most of the other functions of the Act are administered by the Office of Strategic Industries and Economic Security in the Bureau of Industry and Security in the Department of Commerce. The Defense Priorities and Allocation System institutes a rating system for contracts and purchase orders. The highest priority is DX, which must be approved by the Secretary of Defense. The next level down is Do, and below that are unrated contracts. The DPA, passed by the U.S. Congress in September 1950, was first used during the Korean War to establish a large defense mobilization infrastructure and bureaucracy. Under the authority of the Act, President Harry S. Truman eventually established the Office of Defense Mobilization, instituted wage and price controls, strictly regulated production in heavy industries such as steel and mining, prioritized and allocated industrial materials in short supply, and ordered the dispersal of wartime manufacturing plants across the nation. The Act also played a vital role in the establishment of the domestic aluminum and titanium industries in the 1950s. Using the Act, DoD provided capital and interest-free loans, and directed mining and manufacturing resources as well as skilled laborers to these two processing industries. The DPA was also used in the 1950s to ensure that government-funded industries were geographically dispersed across the United States to prevent the industrial base from being destroyed by a single nuclear attack. During the late 1960s and early 1970s, the DPA increasingly was used to diversify the U.S. energy mix by funding the Trans-Alaskan Pipeline, the U.S. Synthetic Fuels Corporation, and research into liquefied natural gas. Beginning in the 1980s, the DoD began using the contracting and spending provisions of the DPA to provide seed money to develop new technologies. The DoD has used the Act to help develop a number of new technologies and materials, including silicon carbide ceramics, indium phosphide and gallium arsenide semiconductors, microwave power tubes, radiation-hardened microelectronics, superconducting wire, metal composites and the mining and processing of rare earth minerals. In 2011, President Barack Obama invoked the law to force telecommunications companies, under criminal penalties, to provide detailed information to the Commerce Department's Bureau of Industry and Security on the use of foreign manufactured hardware and software in the company's networks, as part of efforts to combat Chinese cyberespionage. On June 13, 2017, President Donald Trump invoked the law to classify two sets of products as critical to national defense. The first referenced items affecting aerospace structures and fibers, radiation-hardened microelectronics, radiation test and qualification facilities, and satellite components and assemblies. The second referenced items affecting adenovirus vaccine production capability, high strength, inherently fire and ballistic resistant, copolymer aramid fibers industrial capability, secure hybrid composite shipping container industrial capper,